have our plans in life. And then God has his plans. And I think if we're being really honest, some of us at times may wonder if we're getting a little shortchanged in God's plan versus ours. Like maybe his plan isn't quite as good as our plan. I mean, we know our plan is good, right? And they might be. You know who had good plans? The Apostle Paul. He had really good plans, and he tells us about it in Romans chapter 15. He talks in verses 20, 23, and 24. I kind of bunched them together for the sake of time. This is what he says. His plans. It has always been my ambition to preach the gospel where Christ was not known. I have been longing for many years to visit you. I plan to do so when I go to Spain. I hope to see you while I'm passing through. Paul had ambitious plans that were not only good, they were godly. And these weren't new plans. He had dreamed of these plans for years. It's hard, friend, if we're really, again, honest with ourselves. It's hard when we dream of something for years that we think is a good plan and it is not coming to fruition. For all of God's good plans, God had a different plan for Paul. You see, Paul's plan was that he was going to go as this missionary to Spain, and he's going to stop off in Rome on the way and visit the believers there. All good, right? But here's the thing. Paul wanted to go to the people of the nation. God wanted Paul to go to the emperor of the nation. What may look like disappointment, failure, unmet expectations, unfulfilled dreams to us may actually be a better plan from God. I saw this play out real similarly just a short time ago in my son's life. You see, we were in New York, we were back east, and my son had this plan that he is going to fly home from New York to LA and to get home for an event on this particular Saturday night. So he's got it all planned out. He's got to leave from New York. He has a layover in Atlanta, and then he's going to make it home just in time to LA to get home and get to the event. The only problem was that morning we got the dreaded email that none of us ever want to get. The airline notified us, your flight has been delayed. And because the first flight was delayed, the second flight was delayed. Now, to most of us, that wouldn't be a big deal, but there was two things happening. As I already mentioned, my son was trying to get home for an event that night. The second thing that was happening was this would be the first time he would ever fly on his own. So he'd flown many times, but never on his own. So he had already prepared. It's going to be this, it's going to be this, it's going to be this. And then through no fault of his own, his plans are completely changed. They're curbed. They're derailed. And when that happens to us, it's very disheartening. It can be very discouraging, and it was for him. But what looked bad was actually God giving his better plan. You see, when this happened, we went into deep prayer and started praying, like, Lord, what do we do? Well, we get this idea. You know what? Let's cancel his flight. Now, it's only hours before the plane is going to take off, but we'll try and cancel the flight on the airline we have our miles through that we always fly through, and we'll see if we can get him on another airline that has a flight going home. Well, wouldn't you know it, another airline had a better time, an earlier time. We had literally just enough time to get him to the airport an hour away. And that flight was a direct flight home, putting him home in LA hours before his original flight, and definitely hours before the delayed flight. Friend, it won't always work out this easy and this well, but as we faithfully seek God's plan. We may just get the better one. And here's the thing with Paul. Paul did get to go to Rome, but he arrived in Rome under tremendous difficulties. You see, Paul's plan was that he was going to stop by Jerusalem, take care of some business, but he knew it was kind of sketch down there at that time, so he actually had the believers praying for him. And then he was going to tootle on over to Rome, have his sweet little visit, and then on to Spain, to new territories for Jesus. But what actually ends up happening is he goes through tremendous and very long delays getting to Rome. I mean, the man had to go through arrests. He had to go through an assassination attempt. He went through life-threatening storms. He gets shipwrecked, even bitten by a snake. But he does arrive in Rome, albeit in chains. But he actually, upon arrival, thanks God as he saw the believers coming towards him, and he was encouraged. So I just want to encourage you today that when God answers, but it's not according to our plan, to receive it as Paul did with joy. Be careful not to get discouraged, and definitely not bitter, because it looks way different than we expected or what we hoped for. I actually want to encourage you today to dream with God, prayerfully plan with God, expectantly and joyfully look to God to how those plans are going to play out. And you know, just like Paul, he did get to Rome. He did get to visit with the believers there, albeit though it was under house arrest for 2 full years. But there came a day when God put him before Caesar himself. That, friend, is a pretty good plan. I hope you're encouraged today.